All right, I'm here with Axel Kloth at Axiado, and we're talking about something that's kind of fascinating in the news today about chips being put onto servers that might be allowing certain governments to spy on other companies. Axel, what's actually happening here?
Well, while I don't exactly know what Bloomberg is referring to, because I don't have any data, the article really doesn't disclose much. I have a hunch that the author of the article may have misunderstood a few things, and I would like to point out what a modern server mainboard contains that might be the basis for these allegations. Not that there's anything that I'm ruling out that something has been added to a board, but in general, it is very, very difficult to add a component to a board without the manufacturer knowing about it. Quality control would catch that kind of stuff. They would see that there is an extraneous component on the board because every single server board is going to be photographed, and it will be compared to a database, and it will be compared to what the board really should look like.
Which is exactly what Amazon and Apple and everybody else is saying.
Exactly, right? So let me point out a few things that you would find in any modern server mainboard. You will find the processor, you find the slots for DRAM, here's a socket for another processor. This is the North bridge that contains the network interface card and the MAX. So in this case, this North bridge would communicate with those 2 gigabit Ethernet ports so that this server has connectivity to the data network. And then the North bridge also contains something that Intel calls the integrated management engine. That is an engine that allows remote management of the server. Most servers today don't seem to really focus on the IME because of security issues that have been found, vulnerabilities. A lot of servers today contain an additional chip, and that chip is made by WinBond, or these days.
Which one is that?
That's this chip, and that is made by WinBond, or today they spun it off into Nuvoton. So this chip is a Linux processor all by itself that has access to everything and every resource on the server. Meaning this chip is used to manage everything in case the operating system on this processor has crashed, or if anything else has happened and the administrator needs access to the server without having access to the operating system or any kind of a remote login of the host operating system itself. In that case, this processor, again being a full and complete Linux system, has everything that it can access within the server. So it has really control over everything. This processor has its own memory, has its own BIOS, and it has its own network interface card here, so that even if the North bridge and the IME and everything else has become unresponsive, the network and system administrator can log in through this chip, has access to every resource in this server, and can do whatever he or she wants, including resetting it or stealing data through this. That's all possible. Now, Bloomberg mentions that there's an additional chip on the main board, and I highly doubt that it would go through quality control undetected. My assumption is that somebody could theoretically implement malicious firmware for the IPMI, which is the management engine, not inside this North bridge, but in this Nuvoton or WinBond chip, and then use that to phone home. However, even in that scenario, I would question the validity of the claim, because network administrators are usually fairly conservative and look at unknown data traffic that would go from a server, even if it's this through a management port, onto the internet, because usually they would use a firewall. So this computer would never be directly connected to the internet. It would always go through a firewall, and that means that now there is an independent entity that would capture packets that shouldn't be there in the first place. And as a result, while there is a theoretical possibility that an attack can go through the IPMI, I don't think it's very likely, because network administrators and very likely Amazon and Apple would have found that there is rogue traffic between the IPMI, its network interface, and the internet.
And just to be clear, the server board that's in question is a Supermicro board, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Which happens to be what this is.
That is correct.
Well, Axel, thank you. I think it'll be highly instructive.
Great, thank you very much.